What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to a special episode of Chicago Bulls Central. We'll be talking about KAi Sotto in this video and the fact that he went undrafted, but how he's not really letting it affect his mind state. We'll get into all that and more in today's Chicago Bulls Central.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
All right, Bulls fans. So one of the prospects that was kind of hard to gauge was KAi Sotto. Coming in from the NBL, there are some people who really did think, and more so fans than analysts, and believe in KAi Sotto's potential. Now, KAi Sotto was a very raw player. This is what I said in my analysis of him. Somebody who comes in very raw, has a lot of potential, but he does come in unproven and raw. And I know a lot of KAi Sotto's fans and his supporters, they talk about his stats, the per 36 minutes, but this is the NBA. And I know he played in a professional league in the NBL, but that does not measure up to NBA competition. And that's what we're seeing. That's what him going undrafted means. Like, that's what that shows, that there is while a lot of potential in KAi Sotto, I don't think anybody's going to say that KAi Sotto doesn't have potential. After the 58 picks total in the draft, not 60 this year because we had forfeited picks, KAi Sotto went undrafted. But what I will say about KAi Sotto, yes, there is still some potential there, but I want to talk about the determination of this young man, right? While, yes, he went undrafted, and I'll talk about more so, and I'm going to do a video on Kofi. I'll talk about what Kofi going undrafted really may mean for the old big man in the modern NBA. But, KAi Sotto says this: the dream is always the NBA. So I have to do whatever it takes to get better and get stronger to improve. I just need a speed bump. We didn't get to plan A, but we still got plan B. This is not a signal for me to stop, but to keep going, said KAi Sotto. He had an interview with Play It Right TV. And there are a lot of players. The path to the NBA is not always a straightforward path. And so that's what we're seeing with this KAi Sotto pick. And he still hopes to make an NBA Summer League team. He may very well dazzle in the NBA Summer League and show some things and walk away with either a two-way deal or a deal. He may walk away with a G League deal as well. Now, is that going to be enough to keep KAi Sotto stateside, or will he go back to the NBL, continue to play then, and continue to try to carve out his path to the NBA? Another quote from KAi Sotto is, "Of course, my development is the number one priority. I'm only 20 years old, so I still have a lot of room to grow and develop and improve. The next step is really to think about it with my team, my family. I just have to do everything to get better and reach my dream. It's not over yet." That's the key thing here, right? I know a lot of KAi Sotto's fans did not like the idea of saying that he's a pick based off potential. He still needs to develop, but you hear him say it there. KAi Sotto still does need a lot of development. Being able to compete over in other leagues isn't always a sign of what you're able to do in the NBA. It's not a sign of that. The physicality, the speed, the size, no league matches what the NBA does with that. So while, yes, KAi Sotto at 20 years old still has a ton of potential, he's a quicker big, he's a more athletic big, he can switch on pick and rolls, he can do some things, right? But it's bringing it all together. He had workouts with the Knicks, with the Magic, with the Clippers, even with us here at the Bulls, the Kings, and the Pacers. And all those teams passed on KAi Sotto. What does that mean? Listen, the dream's not done. Like I said, the path of the NBA is not always linear, right? Look at Birdman. Look at Alice Caruso. Like, it's not always a straight path when you're trying to get into the NBA. Sometimes it does get deterred. A dream deferred, but not completely derailed. That's the thing with it. And with KAi Sotto, is KAi Sotto terrible? No. Is he ready for the NBA? No. I stand by my original assessment that KAi Sotto, and I think this is look at there are tons of players who came away, even being undrafted, that came away with deals. KAi Sotto did not even get a deal as an undrafted rookie. And what I think that means is that KAi Sotto needs some development. He gets to go back to the NBL, possibly, right? He still has plans. Hopefully, a team picks him up in Summer League, takes a look at him. If he has a chance to dazzle there, maybe he walks away with a two-way contract and it plays a lot in the G League. Maybe a team eventually calls him up. Maybe a team sees enough in him to say, hey, let's bring him in on a summer camp deal. Maybe he plays well in Summer League. He shows there, and then they want to invest in his development. He could be a heck of it wouldn't be drafting stash at this point, but he can be a heck of a player that you can sign, try to develop in your G League system, and then maybe bring up. Shout out to Pat the designer, who always talks about the G League turning into a true developmental league, right? Being a true minor league system for the NBA in which you really do try to cultivate talent down there. And KAi Sotto may very well end up being one of those players that does that. You know, I never, in doing this, when we evaluate teams, when we evaluate players, it can absolutely seem harsh in the way that we have to evaluate them, in the way that we have to take a look at their game and really try to tear apart their game and say, hey, this is what will work, this is what won't work, this is what they need to work on. But really, in reality, that he is absolutely a developmental piece. He is a player that needs to develop big parts of his game to be able to contribute on the NBA level. And I think what we're seeing in him, and to a lesser extent, we'll talk about the Kofi thing in a separate video, but what we're seeing is that the NBA is now doing a really true evaluation. Listen, there have been a lot of foreign prospects taken high in draft, taken low in drafts that just have not worked out. There have been a lot of prospects that have come in and looked really great in other leagues. And we're seeing as the NBA has now learned to adjust that, learn to evaluate foreign talent better, what we're seeing is that being solid in another league, and keep in mind, he still didn't even play that much in the NBL as well because he was being protected there. But the evaluation that they're doing on a lot of these players now is different than what it was before. Had this been 5-8 years ago, KAi Sotto would have probably absolutely been either a lottery or right outside a lottery pick just based off his age and potential alone. But we're seeing potential doesn't always get you there anymore, right? You have to have one marketable skill, one skill that an NBA team can bet on. Even when you look at the Bulls drafting Dalen Terry, right? The athleticism, what he did shooting-wise, even at a low clip, right? But the percentages, there are some things you can point to understand why. Intangibles don't always get you there anymore. They may get you in the door, but they won't get you drafted. So as KAi Sotto takes a look, unfortunately, he's undrafted. Hopefully, he does make a summer league team and continues to work towards his dream of being an NBA player. It just did not happen last night at the NBA draft. That's my thoughts on it. Again, this is one of a few videos I'm going to do on a little more analyzing of some things that we noticed that happened in the draft with certain players either falling or being undrafted. But let me know what you guys think down below on KAi Sotto going undrafted, what that could mean, and if you still think that he could possibly dazzle in the summer league, end up getting a two-way contract or a G League deal. Let me know all that down below. Thank you for tuning in to Chicago Bulls Central. Make sure you're following the show at Bulls Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullscentralpod@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text and or voicemail, 773-270-2799. Like I like to end everything on, go Bulls. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.